Ready? Taneytown Planning Commission, please come to order. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening. Happy New Year. Please stand for the pledge to the flag.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The records reflect the members that are here this evening. Anybody hear anything from Olive? Okay. Should have received the draft minutes of November 24th, 2025. Looking for review and approval. Anybody have any questions, comments, or whatever?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Who seconded it? Bill seconded it. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried. Thank you, guys. Delegation and action items. Request for a waiver requirement for a site plan approval for 392 square foot garden shed at property with tax account identification number 0701-040774 along Francis Scott Key Highway. Andrew, would you lead us off on what we're talking about and what they're asking for?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Dan Shavitz is seeking to obtain a zoning certificate for the approval to place a 14-foot by 28-foot garden shed, 392 square foot total, on his property in the restricted industrial zone. Pursuant to the Taneytown City Code, customary accessory uses in buildings incidental to any of the above permitted uses is listed as a permitted use in the restricted industrial district. The principal use of the property appears to be agricultural. Pursuant to the city code, obtaining site plan approval is required prior to commencing the construction or placement of any new building or structure for a non-residential use, including accessory buildings. The proposed garden shed is for a non-residential use, as mentioned, agriculture. Pursuant to the city code, the Planning Commission, with the concurrence of the zoning administrator, may waive the requirement for site plan approval where no extensive construction or improvements are sought. Before acting upon any application for a waiver, the Planning Commission and zoning administrator shall consider whether the use will affect the existing drainage, traffic, relationships of buildings to each other, landscaping, buffering, lighting, and other considerations of site plan approval, and that the existing facilities do not require upgraded or additional site improvements. The applicant requested a waiver for site plan approval, and as part of this request, the applicant provided answers to my questions as follows. And just going through the staff report, briefly go through it. Will the accessory building affect existing drainage? The applicant mentioned no. Will any new traffic be generated by the accessory building? Applicant mentioned no. It is intended to be used for equipment storage. How far is the accessory building from the property line? I provided information on the setbacks. The applicant mentioned they will be outside the setback requirements. Will there be outdoor lighting? No, they do not plan to run electricity to the shed. Will there be any water and sewer associated with the accessory building? No. How tall is the accessory building proposed to be? The cupola will add 30 inches, so the total will be 13 foot 9 inches. Do you have a photo of what the accessory building will look like? And that is attached to the bottom of the staff report. Will there be a driveway accessing the accessory building? No. There will be grass surrounding the shed. So after review, I have determined to waive the requirement for site plan approval since no extensive construction or improvements are sought. considering existing drainage, traffic, relationships to buildings, to each other, landscaping, buffering, lighting, and other considerations of site plan approval, and that the existing facilities do not require upgraded or additional site improvements. So staff recommendation is, for staff, we recommend the Planning Commission determine if they concur or disagree with the zoning administrator's determination to waive site plan approval for the garden shed as discussed. And Mr. Chair, the applicant is in the audience if you have any questions of him or myself. Thank you.
Like, come forward and make any comments?
No comments, just looking to put a shed on 22 acres.
All right. Anybody on the commission have a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. I mean, all the answers seem reasonable. I know where it's going to go approximately. So, but there's no dimensions. So you said you're going to stay away from the border, but
Yeah,
there was no dimension shown. That's my only question.
A couple 100 feet.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't,
Yeah.
I knew if a small lot, then you need dimensions from property lines, but
Yeah.
we're a couple 100 feet.
Yeah, I trust you. Just it wasn't written down anywhere.
Gotcha, understood.
But I have, that's the only comment I had.
My only other request would be, not of you, of you guys, is can we get a bigger version of this next time without a microscope needed?
best. We can.
That's what, I'm over here right after the pledge going, okay.
We can do that.
My first thought was, it'd be nice to know if it was between this street address and this street address,
Yeah.
since it was none. But pulling it up on the city map made it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I figured out where it was. It was just trying to read the 1-point font. That
Okay, any comments from the floor? Not, I'll entertain a recommendation or a motion. Just state which.
I move we accept the waiver determination.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor of the waiver signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda, request for preliminary site plan approval, Garnet Ridge, and clarification of roadway width. A lot of comments on this, so we can. That. Andrew, would you like to make any comment before we start?
Yes, sir. Just to briefly go over the staff report, during your November 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission, city staff asked the commission to grant preliminary plan approval for Garnet Ridge contingent on the pumping station comments being satisfied, which would happen before final plan approval. Also, prior to this meeting, the concept plan for Garnet Ridge was discussed by the Planning Commission during your November 2023 meeting, beginning around 18 minutes and 40 seconds at the link that was provided on the report. Not to go into too much detail, but after reviewing the meeting video, the meeting minutes, also discussing with the chair this past month, we wanted to bring this back to the commission to get, I guess, more guidance from you. As you can see, there's a bunch of different things in the report. I just wanted to lay out everything in an unbiased way of how I heard it in the meeting. And also, this past month, the applicant's representative, who is in the audience right now, asked city staff to discuss the road widths based on Planning Commission's meeting last week. They wanted to have a little bit more clarification too. They provided details of roll curb. They provided photographs, as you have in the staff report, of roadway sections parking along the streets in Carol Vista. And the city staff would like the commission and the applicant's representative to discuss the roadway widths and parking spaces at each home and consider approval of the preliminary site plan contingent on the pumping station comments being satisfied, which would happen before final plan approval. And that is all I have. And I know the applicant's representative looks like he is ready to come up.
Evening.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Marty Hackett with CLSI. Thank you for having us on tonight. I was unable to attend the meeting at end of November due to a situation, but I wanted to get together and clarify because I was at the meeting back in 2023, and I think, there's a video that we were discussing adding another foot to the roadway on each side of paving. And that's the main thing that was discussed. And there's been a lot of confusion on some dimensions that were thrown out, 28 feet, 8 inches, or 26 foot, 8 inches, whatever. I wanted to go through and the 26 feet of paving that we're showing on the plan currently with the 2-foot rolled curb on each side is a 30-foot roadway. And what I did was we went ahead and pulled the fire apparatus with the actual stabilizer jacks on it and all that stuff. And we did a detail. And Andrew, you have that?
What page is it on?
It's,
I do not have that.
we did this, and if I may approach.
Please do. Back up just a little bit so we can all kind of get, okay? Can you see it, Bill? Harry?
Yeah.
The bottom has the stabilizer jack. We placed a full-size truck basically there. And we have more than 20 feet to spread the jacks out. We're allowing parking one side. And it's a 30-foot roadway, which is actually larger than what Carol Vista has on their roadways. And they have 400 some units.
I was gonna say.
So there's a lot more traffic.
Marty, if I can interrupt you, could you go back to where you're on the mic?
Went out to Carol Vista, take some photos. Literally, there wasn't that many vehicles parked on the side of the road, for one thing, compared to, there was about 25 of them throughout the subdivision out of 400 and some units. Every one of them park on the curb. It's because of the way the curb is, it's part of the road. It's flat, it just blends in, and every one of them were on the concrete. So we have more than adequate width, and that's why when we were here in the 23rd, or 2023, we went ahead back to the drawing board and added the 1 foot that we talked about in the meeting. And that, believe it or not, adding 1 foot changes the impervious area, which changes your drainage calculations, your stormwater management, and all that. So and again, I wasn't able to be here last month, or we'd have been talking about it last month, but so I'm here to ask for acceptance of the 30-foot roadway. It's for 50 lots, it's a wide roadway, but we heard from the people that the emergency services and the fire department, and this roadway works as it is. It doesn't need to have 28 feet of paving and be a 32-foot road. We proved that. The rest of the stuff is the preliminary stuff that we're addressing with the sewer and all that stuff, which is some minor things to get through. That's why we're here for a conditional approval as we were last month. And again, we're asking for approval of the sections as we have them proposed.
Back on the 23rd, you're not clear on the motion that Mr. Parker made to make it a 28-foot road? That wasn't clear?
No, I'm referring to the history back from 2023.
Yes, sir, I have it right in front of me, the minutes.
Well, a 20-foot, we have a 30-foot roadway. It's still considered a 30-foot paved roadway. It's not the paving within the road, it's the road that functions as one. It's part of the concrete. You know, if it was straight curb, it'd be from the face of curb to face of curb, which has some concrete in it. That's still road width. And again, what we talked about and what we're here for is, I believe Mr. Parker did make that motion. But there was nobody here to explain the actual road width itself and what we have existing. What we have proposed already is it's greater than a 28-foot road. It's a 30-foot roadway.
Okay, so to start with, we've got the 28-foot, so you're saying we do have the 28-foot plus the foot each side, gives us the total width of the drive area is 30 foot. Is that what you're saying?
The total drive area is basically your roll curb, the way it rolls down. There's a flat area of 1 foot or 16 inches actually. If you're going to get down to basics, it's 16 inches where it's very flat and constant. So basically it's 26 feet of paved area, bituminous, and you have concrete 16 inches on each side, which takes it over 28 feet. And then it rolls back up. And everybody, as far as the natural parking effect and convenience of parking on the roadway, is the feel. When I went through, like I said, Carroll Vista, everybody parks one of the tires. They're utilizing, so it's part of the roadway. And that's what we're asking.
So I disagree a little bit. I don't consider the curb to be part of the roadway, otherwise it would be called the curb. I do agree that they park on one side, and I'm okay with that. So for me, where the 28-foot come from, the NFPA wanted 20 feet. You know, I seen your drawing there, but NFPA said they want 20 feet for vehicles to park or to pass. So then, if you have 20 feet, and then you have a 9-foot parking spot on one, you know, a parking lot is 9 by 20.
Well,
So you have
parallel
9
parking
foot.
spot is 8 feet by 25.
Well, I think we go 9 by 20, I think. So in my mind, it was 9 foot there. And then, yeah, on the side that you park on, you have a wheel that goes across there. So I said, okay, take a foot off, and there's 28 foot. And that doesn't, the side that you don't park on, you don't count the concrete curb. So that's the way I get my 28 feet. So I don't drive on the curb. I do
No, it's
park
not a
on the
matter of
curb.
driving, it's where a vehicle parks.
I do park on
naturally,
one side.
and allows you over 20 feet to travel, especially in an emergency condition. And again, the vehicle is basically called 8'2" or 8'6" on the width of a fire apparatus. With the stabilizer jacks out, it goes out to 5 feet each way. So you're out about 18 and a half feet total. The travel way, obviously, you got a constant. It's in an issue where you need to spread the jacks out. Is a situation where you have that issue only if you pull right alongside a car that's already parked, and they're not parking lined up down the road. There's areas where the roadway is going to be clearly 30 feet wide. In an emergency situation, I mean, I'm just saying the practicality of it.
Andrew, so what's our city standards for the parking spot? Is it 8 by 20 or 9 by 20? Jim, are
I
you
think it's
aware?
9 by 18, correct?
9 by 18?
In a parking lot, it's 9 by 18.
On a parallel to a roadway, when you park parallel, the space is 8 feet by 25. You need that
Okay.
angle in to actually
To
park.
park, okay.
So what happens to the 4 houses on the left as you're coming into the subdivision? They don't have the same parking that everybody else does in the subdivision. Yeah. So, well, I guess it's 5 or 6.
There's parking there'll be parking along one side.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you've got parking along one side and you've got housing along one side in the entire subdivision, except for that opening area.
Correct.
That has half the parking
Right.
that everywhere else is gonna have.
It'll have spaces in between the driveways, the driveways and along the line where, whole way along the line of the roadway, you have it in between. And then you'll have it, you're only, again, you'll probably restrict parking to one side. You have it along here and everywhere else where it's not open.
Yeah, but I'm just, from my own point of view, basically you've got, it looks like 6 units, I was mistaken earlier, that are not going to have as much access to parking as the rest of the subdivision, because they've got it on both sides of the road.
You got to make that decision on which house you want to buy when you buy.
I get that. I'm not a fan of the narrow roads.
Let's look at this realistic. How can we resolve this, stay within the standards that we're looking for, still move forward with this? I see we got 28, no matter how you figure it out, you still come up with a width of 28 feet,
Width
But
is
where's-
pavement.
width of pavement.
So what do you call them pavement? Are you calling the curb?
I'm calling it pavement is what's paved blacktop.
That's blacktop.
So if you add the curve base, that's another 16 inches or a foot. So that gives you then your 30-foot width. Is that what you're saying?
No, sir. The thing is that if you have 28 feet of paving, you're going to end up with a 32-foot roadway.
Because of your 16
And
inches, okay.
That's correct.
But-
And the total curb from concrete, beginning of concrete to end of the concrete where it meets the paving at, is 2 feet. 16 inches of that 2 feet is basically where it's very mild and consistent with the actual slope of the paved roadway portion of it. I mean, if the entire roadway was concrete and there was no paving, you know, we'd still sit there and say it's a 30-foot road. You know, so it's one of those,
So we take the word paving away and say the driveway or the road width.
Asphalt.
The road width.
Well,
What we're looking for, the dimension
Drivable
of the road
surface.
width.
Mr. Hackett calls the road curb part of the road. I don't call that.
Well, if it's still the road width and you can drive through it, it is the road width. And Jim, you have a comment that?
Well, I think, yeah, when we say curb, we're lumping in the gutter pan with that. So the gutter pan is relatively flat, you know, it slopes away from the road center slightly, and then the curb starts to slope up away from, you know, away from the road. So the gutter pan is what I think we're talking about as being the 16-inch
16
drivable
inches.
portion. So if you take a 26-foot blacktop section and add 16 inches of flat surface on either side, you effectively have a wider roadway that's drivable, that you can drive on.
So the dimension we're looking for is the driveway or the road width.
The
That's-
drivable surface.
Regardless if it's the pad, the apron, or the apron, or what's blacktop. We're talking about the total road width.
people are
Is
parked on the
what is that dimension? Total road width.
26.
30 feet.
No.
But
It's,
that's if we're
Include-
at 26.
So
I was going to say, but
if you're,
I
It's gonna
got
be-
where you are, but basically, from what you've got on here, it's 26 of pavement, another
32 inches.
32 inches, but basically to pop it up to 28 of flat before it starts ramping up.
28 foot 8 inches of flat.
Yeah.
I read that, yes, I read that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to resolve the issue of the
He has
misconfusion.
a lot more issues other than this.
We have obviously a low-speed private road, and then you have parking on the one side. Most of your traffic is going to be obviously residential type traffic. And we're showing that in the emergency situation. You know, something shall happen like that, as needed. Not only can you get, obviously, there's plenty of room for fire apparatus, but there is the apparatus that it can still handle and put the jacks down in any location with the parking on one side, with the roadway that we have designed and proposed.
What's the wishes of the commission? Any additional comments, sir? No, I was just. Mars, you had a comment?
This was for you, what are our rules for the whole park on one side with the narrower streets set up? Like, what are our dimensions that we want to see? Do we have a standard that we're using for that? Because so far, it hasn't felt like it's worked out real well in the areas where we've done it.
Having one side of the road, no parking?
Yeah, because it gets real tight in a lot of the places where that's a thing. I mean, I know they're going to be wider than Carol Vista, but I mean, go back in Meads.
Going to be, but this section here is either the same or a little wider than what's in Meads. When I pull those
I was
dimensions.
going to say I'm hoping wider because it gets very tight. So that's why I'm trying to find out what the rules that we have to follow actually are, and if we,
I think they're making them up now.
yeah,
But I think the
Not
changes are
necessary.
being made because of the issues we've had at the others. That's why the discussion tonight, because we've seen the pinch points, or whatever you want to call it, the narrow of these streets.
Yeah.
Meads, Carol Vista, whatever. That's why, seems like we're all having this discussion. Is it, so it's at 26 feet, then we have the concrete of 2.5 feet. So is that what we're,
So for me, the concrete, the curb, the gutter, whatever we want to call that portion, I agree that people park on it, but I don't consider that as part of the road to drive on. That's it.
I agree.
So you
I
can
agree
count
with you.
one side where you park on it, the other side doesn't count, in my opinion.
I agree what you're saying, as you say it. It's not what you drive on, but it is part of the roadway width.
If you have the 8 feet, and the 8 feet, somebody's parked one tire on the concrete, you still have, obviously, a wide roadway for residential vehicle traffic. And what we're also showing, though, is that in the event of an emergency, it accommodates the fire apparatus with no problem.
Right, so I understand your picture there. What I read was NFPA recommended 20 foot for two emergency apparatus to pass. 20 foot, okay, so that's what I'm saying, 20 foot.
Yeah.
And then I'm saying the parking spot, which I said was 8, I said was 9, and you're saying it's 8, right? So I'm saying that 16 inches that you had, I said, okay, I called it a foot just to make it an even number, and that's where I came up with my 28 feet. So if we're going to agree that a parking spot is 8 foot instead of 9 foot, then I'm at 27 foot of asphalt. So that's where I'm at, so.
Comments? Help here from the staff?
Carol Vista has been mentioned. I'm not sure if commission members frequently hear parking complaints coming from Carol Vista residents
I
or
see them all
not.
the time.
I was going to say, I have driving complaints in Carol Vista from myself, but
do that, Jim? I mean, what was your comment to that? I mean,
Well, I'm aware of there being some parking complaints from Meads Crossing, and a lot of those were from folks that moved in before the no parking on this side signs went up, and then they found they couldn't park right in front of their house. And of course, we've also had individuals parking on streets where there's no parking allowed. For some reason, in residential communities, folks seem to be okay feeling like they can block the travel lane on their street. So I am aware of complaints in Meads Crossing because of the parking on one side, and particularly a handful of habitual bad parkers, I guess. In Carol Vista, I'm not aware of a lot of complaints about the width of the streets or people not being able to get by or not being able to get past parked vehicles. And I think one thing we need to think about also is that we're looking at a retirement community versus a standard, community of single-family homes and townhomes and things like that. So the nature of it's a little bit different also.
And adding to that, Jim, also, this is a private road, and it's a dead-end road.
Well, I think it is ultimately to be deeded over to the city, so.
But it
think
is a
will-
dead-end street.
Yes, right, with just
So
a
it's not gonna be a
future
thoroughfare.
emergency access at the other end when the adjacent property develops.
But I don't want to set that as any standard for the future. That's why I'm just saying it's. So, Bill, anything else?
Does each, refresh my memory, does each unit have a two-car garage? So in Community Village, retirement dwellings are only required to have 2 parking spaces per dwelling instead of the standard 3. So,
Depends what the size is, what they're calling a double-car garage. What's with your garage inside?
State your name, sir, and
I'm Kevin Wingate, the development consultant for Ward Communities. The width of the garage, the door width is 16 feet, but there's a 1-foot lip on each side, so once you get in through, it's 18 from end to end. I think in your last meeting minutes, someone questioned how many steps you'll have inside the garage. There's only a 6 to 8 inch difference between the first floor and the garage, so it'll be 1 step, so that won't impair a vehicle pulling in. You'll be able to pull all the way in and use the full depth of the garage to accommodate 2 spaces. In addition to that, some of our driveways were from the edge of sidewalk to the face of garage was 15 feet. Our building restriction line in the rear, we have plenty of distance to push the units back, so we can get an extra few feet to accommodate, larger vehicles in the driveway to use that as parking as well as the garage. And as Mr. Weefrick mentioned, that it's a 55 and older community, so there should be less vehicles, less parking. So hopefully between the garage and the driveway, we can accommodate and keep a lot of the vehicles off the road.
So what's your driveway gonna be?
The driveway is 18 wide. We can make it 18 by 18 or 18 by 20.
I don't think you're still up to standards yet.
What would you like? 'Cause
Well, ADA, I believe, has to be a little bigger. You cannot block your sidewalks.
No, so we can go back 20 as well. We have room to push the units back because of our rear BRL, our building restriction line.
Do you think your grade of your driveway is gonna be a little different? Because right now, in this drawing you have here, you got 16 houses in violation of ADA grade.
Obligated to have, I think,
driveway's
what we
not
typically,
ADA.
Huh?
The driveway wouldn't be ADA.
Yes, it is, because their sidewalk is coming out and using the driveway as a sidewalk.
Okay,
The,
I gotcha.
the sidewalks and driveways, when you're in a subdivision, are not required to meet ADA requirements.
Sir, your sidewalk from the house comes out and hooks to your sidewalk, and hooks to the blacktop driveway, and goes down to the sidewalk, so that is a sidewalk.
No, I understand.
Okay, well, your slope can't
subdiv-
be any more than 5%.
Well, that,
Apparently, the county lets you get away with that, but that's not ADA requirements.
the units themselves aren't even ADA compliant because they'll have steps in them. They don't have elevators, they don't have escalators or anything. I mean, they
You
have
still have to
steps.
meet the standards outside.
I can speak from experience, when we have a situation where somebody requires a unit to be ADA, we do our best to pick the units that are the flattest, offer that unit to a particular person who wants to buy it, and accommodate them with a flatter driveway, and do our best to meet the flatter standard. So there are units in that community that we don't have the grade difference between the edge of the sidewalk to the lip of the garage. So those, if that situation would arise, we would offer those units to that particular person. But we would do our best to meet the standards. So that's what we've done before, is taken the flatter units and accommodated that user. And as Marty said, it goes with that, there are times modifications are required on the inside because we have steps on the inside. We have the garage lip and things like that, so there's a lot to be considered.
Excuse me, sir. You said the garage was 18 foot wide. What's the depth?
On the inside, I don't know what the depth is. I do know this unit's built in other areas by Ward Communities, and cars are fully parked in it. So I would imagine it's 18 to 20. But I don't have the architectural plan in front of me, but we have built this unit, the same unit before, and vehicles are parked fully inside.
Just real quick, to get back to Councilmember Mead's question, there currently, right now, is no city policy on parking on one side of the street only.
Not to put anyone on the spot, does the county have any comments one way or another? All right. Thank you. All right. So let's go back to the,
Real quick with the driveway question, it was mentioned they could be 18 or 20 feet. If a standard parking space in a parking lot is 9 by 18, one would think that the driveway length between the sidewalk and the garage, 18 feet would be adequate.
I think 18 feet seems a little short. I mean, so like when you're parking in a parking lot, I think we normally assume that the bumper's going to hang over someplace where the sidewalk's not. So to me, 20 foot would be a reasonable parking spot for a normal sized car. Well, maybe, I guess it depends on what size car you drive, but I think we've had that discussion about the 18 foot in the parking lot. Didn't seem like it was good, and we decided that, well, if it overhangs someplace and it doesn't block a sidewalk, it was okay.
That's our
So,
biggest concern.
so the biggest concern that I have is, and it happens all the way through town, you can walk through right now and you'll see a dozen cars parked in their driveway, but over the sidewalk. And
Even with the 35-foot setback.
maybe, yeah. But at
I was
least with
gonna
the
say,
35
just-
setback, they can avoid it.
Right.
So,
so let's resolve this. Going with the 28 foot, the 30 foot, 26.8 blacktop, 2 foot. Let's come up with let's come up with a workable situation that does not become a standard.
That does not become a standard.
I was gonna say, basically,
Because
if you,
If we're gonna change something down the road.
if we're
it
going
should be-
with
excuse
parking
me,
on, okay,
excuse me.
sorry.
If we're gonna change something, it should come to the standard that the city has. And we should work with, if we wanna make a change, we present it to the city council and they put it in their standards.
We are in the midst of updating our streets and stormwater appurtenances specifications. And part of the reason we haven't adopted it yet is we've been waiting to have the conversation with the planning commission about street widths and what exactly we want to put in that manual. That was a question posed by one of the council members a few months ago, but our agenda has been so packed the last several months that we haven't taken time to really get into those discussions. So we have the opportunity before us to set a standard and you know, if we want to set a standard that enables parking on one side, parking on both sides, or no parking at all, such as with an alley, we have that opportunity.
So it sounds like it's going to be a topic at one of our workshops?
It could be, you know, if the agenda was later tonight, it could have been tonight.
We got a lot on our agenda.
Okay, so let's resolve this
Yep,
particular
yep.
thing for this plan for
Yep.
tonight. And then move forward. So we all say what we don't want. Let's say what is workable that we will accept.
If the plan is 28 feet of drivable space, then this makes 28 feet of drivable space.
I disagree.
It's drivable,
Drivable
it's not
space.
generally used.
So is your
We
front
won't use
yard.
that as a standard.
I am coming at this from, I absolutely dislike the narrower streets with one-side parking, but if that's where this has been approved and this is where we've been going with this particular thing, then we can't exactly expect them to make changes in the middle to accommodate something a lot wider. If we go with 8 foot for a parallel parking space, it's got the 20 feet that needs to be, that to be able to clear a couple of emergency vehicles.
8 foot doesn't have anything to do with it. It would automatically fit in the 28 foot of roadway. And I'm using the word roadway, not paving. Roadway. What, you follow me, Bill? Follow me? And I kind of agree with what you're saying, but I'm trying to resolve this issue here.
Understand, but the outriggers is a situation that does occur, but the outrigger could sit on the sidewalk too if we had to. If we had to put it up, we'd put it up, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we'll
So
walk on the grass, too.
when I read the NFPA standard, unless it changed, they wanted 20 foot so 2 engines could pass. Didn't have anything to do with the outriggers, it was so they could pass. Okay, so that's what you need, and then you add whatever your parking is gonna be on the side, on the one side or the other.
So that's for,
And I don't drive on the curb.
right, and that should be what goes into city standard down the road.
To me, it
And we
just makes
agree,
sense.
you don't drive on the sidewalk, but when you're passing 2 emergency vehicles, one, hopefully it doesn't need to be, but it's there if it does have to happen, the one time, or maybe it's 20 times, but we hope it's
Absolutely
not.
agree, absolutely agree.
Yeah.
So Harry, what are you saying? You said,
As is, it fits the definitions of 28 feet of drivable space, so as much as I hate the construction, no offense, it fits to be approved.
let's just hold on. Now, Jim or Andrew, how do we want to handle this? I don't know if I want to make this as another motion, or do we want to make this as just clarification of the motions that were made? Jay?
I was gonna say, theoretically, we made a motion that for 28 foot,
Right. And
for
that was
28
made
foot.
by
So if
Gilman,
this counts as 28 foot,
and the
then we've
motion's clear.
satisfied the motion and we're good.
Right, and you're able to then grant the
Well, that would cover this part of
contingent
the, yes.
approval for this stage of the project.
And is that workable?
Yes, sir. 'cause
That's a
that
yes or no,
falls-
actually, that's
that
just,
falls
no
with-
explanation, just yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That's workable?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other comments? Any comments from the floor? Jay, Jim, this satisfies the issue. The road width is 28 foot, correct?
What are you calling the road width again?
The road width
so
is
the-
what
I
you're
think
dri-
what
what
we're-
you- what you're
Drivable
able to
area.
drive on.
Are you talking asphalt or concrete?
I'm talking roadway, what you're able to drive on.
Asphalt
for this-
or concrete?
No, that's not part of it.
Combination of both.
But then
Now, you
how
can put that in the
interpret it?
standard when standard is created. But for this picture, or for this project, or what we're talking about now, the driveway, I agreed what it said, 28 foot is drivable roadway.
I think you're letting that up too much interpretation.
Yeah, I don't understand what you mean by 28 foot, sir.
Mr. Hackett said, and correct me if I'm wrong, 26 feet, then you have the 16 and 16.
Of flat
That's
driveway.
correct. That's correct.
So do we want to go, instead of 28 feet, do we want to make sure we're all on the same page, Andrew and Jim and all, that we're 26 plus those 2, because we're going to call it roadway for this development?
And we can show.
I don't know, I'm just throwing that out to you.
And we can show it in the typical section. The typical section, how we label it, we can go to where the 16-inch shows in the curb and show that as the roadway. It's going to come out to 28 feet, 8 inches, if I'm correct, of roadway. Then it has basically 2 8-inch areas behind that, making the total road width 30 feet. But the drivable area, if you will, and parkable area is 28 feet, 8 inches, what we have proposed. It has 26 feet of physical paving.
So just to clarify, that's the drivable area of the road would not only include the paved road surface, it would include 1 foot 4 inches of the curb on each side as shown in the roll curb detail.
Say it again.
Not only would the drivable space include the blacktop asphalt road surface, it would include the 1 foot 4 inch on each side of the roll curb, part of the roll curb, the 1 foot 4. On this, on this
The gutter
detail here, on that,
The
right. the-
drawings we have.
He's saying that you're gonna drive all the way up to here.
If you have to.
If you had to, right. But it clarifies the space. So that makes it 28.8, right? Bill, is that what you come up with, 28.8?
Hackett was saying, and.
Correct.
yes.
So that's what your plans are gonna show, 28.8.
That's what they do show.
Clarified for staff?
28.8, got it.
Pardon me?
Yes.
So, do I want to put that in some type of motion, or do I just want to make that as a clarification? We're gonna have some disagreement either way.
You gotta clarify your last two motions you made then over the last couple of years.
This will clarify it. Matter of fact, if it would help, I'll state that as a clarification of the motions in the past meetings,
Going back
that
to
the driver,
23.
that the drivable space, 28 feet, 8 inches. I'll make that as a motion, as a clarification. Correct that if it's wrong, but if I can get a second to that, we can move forward. Second by Bill. Do I ask for any discussion from the floor again? Or the staff? All those in favor of that motion, and don't ask me again to repeat it, signify by saying aye. Harry?
Yeah, I'll say aye, just because it
Okay.
counts.
Dan?
It's not great.
No.
No,
Myself, aye. It's carried 3-2.
Thank
The
you.
width, the driveway width of this development is 28 feet, 8 inches
Roadway.
throughout.
roadway.
Not
Roadway.
Roadway.
not driveway.
Right, roadway.
Just one more. Did you want to, in the city staff recommendation, also consider approval of the preliminary site plan contingent on the pumping station comments being satisfied?
Yeah, that's a different issue.
Okay, I just didn't want to
Yeah,
pass
because
that.
I want the chance to discuss that
Okay.
a little bit.
Perfect.
I want to clear up, I want to be able to get the vehicles through first.
I was gonna
Sounds
say,
good.
Now we move on.
real quick, slight tangent on driveway length, and then I'm done. That's why I was looking up, average length of things. If you're gonna be a 55 and older community, you're gonna get Gen Xers, and they're gonna have bigger cars than the Carol Vista folks. Probably a lot of SUVs, average SUVs going 16 foot long, so I've seen garages now that they can't fit anything other than a small SUV in the garage anymore, with the depth. So it may have been built in a lot of other places, but cars keep getting bigger. So it's just a word on
I
that.
think your 16 foot is short.
I think it's relatively short, but they said the big ones are 17. Like the Explorers and
See, most people, when they move anyway, that's where their storage is,
yeah.
not their vehicle. All right, let's move on to the preliminary site plan approval period on that. Questions, comments? I'll start out one. I couldn't find sewer manhole number 1 on your drawing. I guess that,
Manhole out.
that's because I didn't know where your pumping station was, and because I couldn't find your pumping station on here.
Yeah, I think they're a separate set of drawings as well. I don't know if they were, said Marty, or was, because remember, the Crow and Rob Sell
Right.
put those in,
You don't know if they're in here or not?
they should be, they were submitted as a package, but
What page, was it like 13 or?
Here you go, man.
there's an agenda right there, Andrew on the front. Look at the pump stations, probably at the end if they add it as a separate set.
I guess my point was, if we're approving the preliminary site plan approval as presented, the pumping station should be on there, and I couldn't find it.
They were submitted because
I think the pump station was a
reviewed
separate,
those
was a separate.
as well.
print, so.
I think it was like a set of 6 or 8 drawings.
So can we give a preliminary approval on something that's not in this on this drawing? I don't see how we can do that without,
I'll show you. You want sewer manhole 1?
yeah, I want to know where one is and where the pumping station is.
Yeah. It's sheet number 30 of 46. It's right alongside the pump station.
And that's within the site,
30.
Look behind, at the rear of lots 19 and 18,
Bill, can you,
manhole number 1, and you'll see a shaded block with the pump station.
What page is 30?
30 of 46.
Rear of 18 and 19.
This one's coming.
it's on there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Missed that then. And that's where manhole number 1 is?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yep. Sure is.
Dan, can I share my screen? Or can you share it?
Can you put it down front? Okay.
It's coming.
Okay. Okay,
The pumping station's sitting down there on the bottom,
I see it.
the TIE fighter looking thing.
I missed it the first 3 or 4 times. My other question was, the only fire hydrants I found was at the end of the development. The closest fire hydrant out on 194 is FlowServe. Didn't the county fire engineer go through this?
There's a hydrant. Up towards the dead end.
Both of them's towards the dead end. There wasn't anything in the front, in the entrance that I could find there.
One
Again, I
right
could have missed
there
it.
on the left there, right by the M.
Yeah, the one above the M in Rosemellow.
Okay, and then the other one's all the way back at the dead end.
Nope, if you go down again, it is,
Let me go to sheet
I've seen 2.
29.
yeah, I see 2 at the
See 2 of
moment.
them? That's all
Yeah.
I could find was 2.
Where?
One's in the M of Rosemellow, and then one's back towards the
Right
dead
there's
end.
one, yeah.
One.
Back here somewhere.
And then here's another one
Maybe one
on May,
page.
May Apple Drive.
Okay, so there's one there.
So that's 3 of them then.
Or is that 4?
4.
That's 3 so far.
Okay.
Well, you got,
Any towards the front entrance? That's what I was concerned with.
There's
Anything
one,
towards the front?
2,
well, you have the one back by lot 28, the one over by Rose Mallow in the M as,
Yeah.
correct.
and then you have one, page number 29, you have the one at the cul-de-sac on Mayapple.
Yep.
And then the
And
one at
that's-
the intersection of
Oh,
Wild
there's one
Ginger.
right there, yeah,
Yep.
so, yeah, they're there.
And then, any more?
Any close to 194? I mean, 140?
140?
140?
Not that I see.
See, that's what I was concerned with.
Yeah, there's actually two of them being proposed.
Page, Mr. Hackett.
And that's,
32?
that's at,
It's in front of what, flow serve?
yeah, some of them are running along the main, along 140. We're installing those.
Okay, after flow serve.
Well, some of them is on flow serve, right there, flow serve, and all the way up toward the entrance.
Okay. See that one?
Sorry, guys. There's two more shown at,
Oh, here we are.
actually, I'm sorry, there's three out there.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
There's three being proposed out at, along 140.
140. All right. I think that was my only comments. Someone else have anything?
Are we going to finish the driveway length discussion?
Yeah, that was the one thing.
Okay, we'll come back to that then. Okay, we'll move that up next.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that the people that live there have the ability to park in their parking spot and not block the sidewalk. So to me, I mean, I'm thinking that's 20 foot, that's what I think.
And you kind of already agreed you'd go 20 foot, right?
Yeah, no, would you say 40? Oh, 20. I will say, we'd have to look at this little in greater detail, but I think there's 3 units that I may only be able to get 18 or 19, but all the rest of them, I can get 20 or greater. So I think 18 would be the bare minimum. And if there was a slight overhang by a few inches, it wouldn't be into the curb, it would only be over a section of sidewalk. But I know I can get a minimum of 19. And I think that's only for like 1 or 2 units, the rest, we could do 20.
All right. Comments?
So 19 would take, I mean, it would get like Escalades and Grand Wagoneers and Suburbans, not any F-150s or anything, or Silverados, or, so full-size pickup, it wouldn't get that. But,
And I'm looking for a motion for a preliminary site plan approval. Because the chair doesn't mean I need to make the
No,
motions.
no, it just,
Put the verbiage in the way you want.
Can we
help me.
document some points in the minutes and come to consensus on what the minutes will say as far as what the developer is being directed to do for the final subdivision plan? So we're asking that they provide 20-foot driveways wherever possible, that they satisfy sewer comments from C.D. Smith, our consultant engineer.
That was
The
handled,
road-
already
The
handled.
roadway is maintained at 28 feet, 8 inches of drivable surface. Was there another point that we want to make sure we have on the final
I don't
plan?
like how you let that wide open wherever it's possible for them to do that. That's a gray area.
I think the least, and please correct me if I'm wrong, from what I gathered, the least length of the driveway would be 19 foot, 0 inches.
Correct. And it very well could be 20. I'm laying a scale on it. I don't have CAD in front of me where I can calculate the actual distance. But keep in mind, that's only, 2 or 3 units, so out of 50 units here. All the rest will have the 20.
Else? Still looking for the main motion here. Preliminary site plan approval. With those conditions or whichever those clarifications.
Just the clarifications that the pump station, the comments from CDM Smith are adequately satisfied, that the driveways are 20 foot in length, and if any have to be shorter, they would be no shorter than 19 foot 0 inches long. That is all, because we already talked about the
covered that.
driveway, or the road width.
May I say something? With those conditions Andrew just noted, we still have to, as you know, come through with a full set of plans again, final plans. So all these things are, we're talking, foot or two, we can make all the adjustments, and those plans will have a little greater detail with dimensions that can, accommodate, the few concerns that, the planning commission had. So, it's not like if you approve this, we're done. We still have a whole nother round to go
This is
through.
preliminary plan.
Yeah.
Preliminary, but I don't want to have to go through, hash this all over again
Right, as Andrew's
once the
mentioned-
finals are presented.
As Andrew and James mentioned, that if they're clearly noted in your approval, subject to these 2 or 3 or 4 conditions, gladly address those with final. Our goal is just, we'd like to move to the next phase so we can try to get this built and get some models in them next year. If we have to continue to go through the preliminary plan, go back in front of the board again and do all this, there's a risk that we may not get paving done in time, have units next year. And obviously, that's our goal as well.
All right. Who would like to put that in some type of motion?
I don't know if I can. I have too many issues with the whole thing.
I was already the bad guy on one of them already tonight.
I was too. All right. Make a motion for preliminary site plan approval for Garnet Ridge and the clarifications as was stated.
So for
There are four,
CDM's, all comments for the sewer pump station to be satisfactorily approved by CDM Smith, that the driveway width, the driveway length be 20 foot and at a minimum 19 foot 0 inches. That's all.
is there a second to that motion? Second by Bill. Other discussion? Again, any comments from the floor? All those in favor of that motion of preliminary site plan approval for Garnet Ridge, as stated, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay.
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 It's carried, 3-4. Two against.
Thanks.
Thank you, folks. Review of Mountain Brooks Phase 1 revised.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Due to unforeseen changes with access to Taneytown Pike, Maryland 140, Mountain Brook Phase 2 is no longer feasible. At this time, staff and the developer would like to discuss the updated drawings for Mountain Brook Phase 1 to get Planning Commission feedback as it relates to, number one, access for Phase 1 from Francis Scott Key Highway, Maryland 194, the current elimination of Phase 2, and keeping the alignment of the Taneytown bypass intact as part of the proposed Phase 1 development.
Representative?
Yes, is it all right if I sit down while I
Sure,
speak
go-
to you?
yes.
Thank you. Good evening, Kelly Miller, 73 East Main Street, Westminster, Maryland, 21157. I'm here tonight on behalf of Ward Communities. It was the same team you just saw, plus me. So Marty Hackett is here with us from CLSI, and Kevin Wingate is a consultant for Ward. And we wanted to we appreciate being here tonight. First of all, Happy New Year, everyone. We really wanted to have an open dialogue with you all about the future of this development. Marty, can you put that up, the phase plan? So Marty kind of compiled the overview of the full Mountain Brook development that has received, don't quote me on the concept approval?
Correct.
Concept approval. Sorry, I get all my terminology and the different jurisdictions mixed up. So this is what received concept approval. Now, as you all are aware, the request and desire was to have the bypass come through the property and then connect to Maryland Route 140. So I'm sure that Jim or Andrew could get into some specifics, but I'll be quite blunt and quick. That's not happening. FlowServe has no appetite or desire at this point in time to give, sell, or otherwise grant a right-of-way over its property to Maryland Route 140. So that leaves this project with a questionable future. So Ward Communities is the contract purchaser of this property. They do not own this property. So for both purposes of Ward's prospective development here and also the property owner, we wanted to have a conversation with you about what the future development of this looks like in light of the kind of hard no on the FlowServe piece, because there are going to need to be some tough decisions that are made in the near future regarding this development. And I think it's important for both Ward and the property owner to understand the expectations of the town to be able to make some of those decisions. So I will outline sort of the two perspective opportunities as I see them. And we hope that this will be an open dialogue, so please chime in with questions and thoughts and feedback. That's the point. We would love to walk out of tonight's meeting hearing some real, true comments and opinions from all of you so that we can make those decisions. So the way I see it, there are two potential options for this project to continue moving forward. The first option would be to allow and approve the full development. Part of that would be the construction of the bypass through the entire property at the sole expense of Ward Communities. That would include the stream crossing, which, as you can imagine, is a pretty substantial financial expense. I think that Ward is also committed to continuing to pursue that right-of-way over the FlowServe piece. Now, what that looks like exactly, we don't know right now, but I know that that is an interest of theirs and a commitment of theirs. The second, what I will call the second option, is the development of Phase 1, which includes Phase 1A and Phase 1B. Obviously, that portion of development can solely be supported with access to 194, without the access through the FlowServe piece. So I think one of the potentials is to develop Phase 1, construct the portion of the bypass through Phase 1, and earmark some funds for the stream crossing so that if and when Phase 2 is ever approvable by this commission, there's money there to ensure that the stream crossing happens and that the bypass is continued through Phase 2. Now, what that looks like in terms of ownership of the whole property is questionable, right? Because we don't own the property right now. The property is under contract, and so that contract depends on the development that can be approved here, which is, again, probably no surprise to any of you. So we want to talk to you about the bypass, about, I think, the way I see it, and again, I'll be pretty blunt about it, because that's how I am. It comes down to, is the importance of the town to have the bypass constructed as much as it can be with this project? Or is the importance to connect it to Maryland Route 140 such that this can't happen until FlowServe has right-of-way available over top of it? Because that is what this comes down to. I think that you all know this, but I will point this out, that it's possible that if a certain density can't be achieved on this property, either by Ward or by any other future developer of this property, that they're not going to be able to financially support any part of the bypass. This is R10. This is zoned R10. Under conventional zoning, this would not receive the density that's shown on this concept plan. So I think there's a significant possibility that the bypass would not be financially supported by that, and especially that stream crossing component of the bypass, because like I said, that is where the more significant financial lift comes in the construction. So please chime in, thoughts, feedback. What is the most important goal of the town? What is the town looking to see from the development of this property? And we'll take it from there.
You, Andrew or Jim, you would like to add some comments before I open it up?
Well, ultimately, it comes down to what the commission is willing to approve. If the developer is able to move forward, providing a secondary access point onto Route 194, as we've said, we would require for anything over 50 units. Our options basically are, try to get the road across half of the property, or potentially get it across the entire property, understanding that it will be a dead end for the at least immediate future. So we're still left then with that number of homes with 2 access points onto Route 194. And of course, this is all contingent on traffic studies and sight lines and making all that work as well, regardless of which way we go.
And Jim, the only thing I'll add to that, which Kevin, tell me if I'm wrong, is that the full build out here, just to keep in perspective, is at least a 10-year probably project, right? Is that what we said?
estimate 12 years.
So even if there's an appetite to approve the full development, it's not that that's immediately would connect, even if we had the right of way today.
Open up, comments? Sure.
Yeah, so it might surprise you, but street width and parking is a concern of mine, so I would, the other thing that, the two X's is absolutely, I think that's non-negotiable. We need to have more than one exit entry and exit into that place.
Once we hit the 50 limit,
Yeah.
Well, and we think, I should preface by saying, we think we can accommodate that. The bigger conversation for tonight was sort of to get a handle, but we think that we can get through those other requests and obligations under the code if we can get some guidance on the bypass question. But yes, I understand that.
Well, and this is not the bypass, but then the fourth comment that I had written down here was it appears that some of the townhouses were front entry or front loaded, and I'm pretty sure we're not allowing that in town. So I think that's written in our code.
I think we had, with the concept, we had come up with a compromise on which units would be front-loaded and which would be rear-loaded. I think there is a mixture of them, at least in the initial concept.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Was that before me? Yeah.
Only 2 years ago.
Yeah. I think I didn't like it then either.
all right. Comments?
Yeah.
Let's hear them,
I was gonna say, I wasn't around for the first round of
We don't want to give up
of
any
this.
opportunities on the
But,
bypass.
At the moment, as proposed, it's a detriment because it's going to force more traffic out onto 194 and through the square, which is already crap for traffic. So, and at that point, if you've got no back access onto 140, everybody's going to be turning left, and we know that's the massive pain point in the square. In order to get into get down to this particular development. I also saw that on in the drawings, it's got it to where you can only turn out southbound and come in from northbound.
I think you're looking at the secondary access point. There's a
Okay.
that was added, and so just to clarify, what you're looking at there was added. CLSI took a look at having that secondary point of access for phase 1 should the connection to FlowServe not happen. And so the secondary access is a right in, right out only, but there is a full
Okay.
movement access as well.
Which is the original location of Denali Boulevard.
Right.
Yeah. I also had concerns on the size of Denali Boulevard compared to what we've got on, say, what is that, Antrim? Yeah, I was going to say, I get my A's mixed up sometimes. Just compared to what we've got on Antrim and what council actually has planned for the rest of the bypass getting down to 194, because the bypass is a priority for council. And there are things being moved in that direction as we speak. But, so, I'm kind of curious, it probably can't be answered here, but I'm kind of curious what happened, because last we heard it at council, things looked relatively promising with FlowServe. Apparently at some point it went to a hard no, so.
Well, no, I think we can answer that. I mean, I know that the town had some conversations with FlowServe, and then Ward picked those conversations up and continued those. And there was some traction at Ward footing the cost of certain improvements to FlowServe property and such, but then ultimately it was just a corporate decision. Once it got all the way up the chain from a corporate perspective, they are uncertain of their future intentions for the property, and so they were uncomfortable being willing to tie themselves down with any specific right-of-way alignment at this point in time. Their business has been impacted, by certain recent events, and I think they're just trying to keep as much flexibility as they can have for their property. It wasn't we hate your guts and we don't want to talk to you. It was a good dialogue. It was just from a corporate perspective, once it made its way up the chain, there was no willingness at this point in time to entertain that conversation.
But, I mean, from my personal perspective, there's issues galore, because we've got possible water issues, we've got traffic issues, we've got all kinds of stuff that's associated with a development this big, and especially if we get through phase 2 and everything else. I have my own also concerns about having a road act as the bypass that has so many ins and outs on it. Are we not just creating the traffic issues on another place? I look at the bypass around Hampstead as really the model for something like that, and there's very few interactions there. But yeah, just from a utility standpoint, from a traffic standpoint, especially if we can't get out to 140, what are we doing? What are we sentencing ourselves to? It just seems like a bad idea all around, because this was the thing that I was talking to Andrew and you a little bit before the meeting of, yeah, Carroll County might have said that we have enough water, but are they using the same numbers that we just spent 3 meetings at the comp plan debunking? And that's the numbers they're using to say that we've got enough water. We've got wells that are offline right now. So I'm very much inclined towards no, just in general.
No, we don't want
No as.
the bypass.
No, the bypass, or no as.
We
two,
want,
or no as phase one, no as phase one
we
and
want
two
the
as-
bypass, but if this doesn't have, like I said, I've got questions on the feasibility of the bypass with as many ins and outs as it has on it. Whether we're creating another traffic issue down the road. I have issue with the size of the road as depicted on the thing, on the drawings there. The way that it is right now, it doesn't seem feasible for the town to do it, because all it's going to do is funnel more through the square. If there was a chance of having something come out the back on 140, that'd be better, but it's the bypass is going to need to get built on that side somehow, and I'm not sure that this is the best way to get it done.
Did you say build out would be as phase one, 10 to 12 years, or is the whole project phase one and two?
The entire
And I
project.
think if you look, these dates are a little off because we're behind schedule, but
You guys think that I
phase
can't see
one,
that.
phase one was going to start in December of 2026. Phase 2B, which is our last phase,
Thank you.
is June of 2034. So,
Thank you.
If I may, a few important points that I think Mr. Mead brought up here. And as Mr. Parker's been saying, Jay, let me get legal on you here for a second, okay? Bear with me. So I hear the comments about the multiple points of access onto the bypass, and I hear the comparison with the Hampstead bypass. Who paid for the Hampstead bypass? The Hampstead bypass is not analogous to this bypass. The request here, and it's my understanding, but tell me if I'm wrong, is that the request is for the developer to fully fund the construction of the bypass through this property. There is no proposed contribution on the part of any other entity, that being SHA, the county, or the town, for this portion of the bypass. So when you're in a situation where you are requesting a specific improvement of a developer when they come in, the Supreme Court has told us that there has to be a rational nexus between the impact of the development proposed and the exaction that's being requested. So part of the reason that you see the width of the road as it's proposed is because our development, and the traffic study supports this, our development does not necessitate the full construction of the bypass, especially to SHA standards. Now, if the town would like to construct the bypass to SHA standards, Ward has no problem ensuring that there is adequate space and adequate right-of-way for that to happen now or in the future. But this development does not support the need for that width of construction. So what has been proposed is this sort of, I will call it aesthetically appealing boulevard design with these access points here, but this is not, I understand the comments and I hear them, but this is not the same situation as the Hampstead bypass. So I think that if that is the expectation of the town, and that might be, if that's the expectation of the town, that needs to be very clearly communicated so that the owner of the property can say, okay, well, I probably shouldn't enter into a contract with anybody else on this property because it's probably not going to happen. You know what I mean?
I was in the audience when this was first proposed. I wasn't elected. It came up that night about it being SHA standard.
Oh, I am not in any way saying that the comment
that's-
has not been raised and that the request has not been made. I am just saying, from a legal perspective, there is only so much that can legally be required before you are effectively taking the property under the Constitution. And that's where then we get into other legal issues, which we're not going to go. So those are all the things that are at play here. And Ward has engineered and is willing to construct this portion of the bypass and do what it can within reason to get that flow serve piece connected now, in the future, whenever the time might come. And I think, not to jump ahead of ourselves here too much, but honestly, the vehicle under which this full development could occur, there could be a DRRA that would dictate all of this and the timeline of how this would happen and the construction of the bypass, and it would give the town the assurances that the town needs to know that the full bypass over the property is going to get constructed if this were ever approved. And I think there's vehicles, there's a means to make this happen. The question is, what is the most important thing at this point in time, and can we get some real concrete answers basically on that, so that then Ward can make decisions based on their contract with the owner, and that the owner has the information to be able to have that dialogue with Ward as well and say, okay, well, this isn't feasible or this can't happen.
Want my opinion?
Yes.
Came into this meeting tonight telling us it's that part of connection to 140 was off the table. My belief, in my opinion, doing only phase one is not going to help the town one bit. I hear what you're saying. We all do. But I've lived here for 40 years, and all we're trying, we're still traveling on the same roads, you know, the crossroads. We're not doing anything to alleviate any of that. And I was here. I was on, and when this was all proposed, how many years ago? And it was very comforting to hear that we were going to do something to be able to connect potentially to 140. To bring it back to only phase one, as Harry says, I truly believe we're just going to make it more of a mess coming through town. Tell me if I'm wrong, and I hear what you're saying, you know, but I really thought we were going in the right direction, as you said. Something happened.
Right.
I get it. But my opinion, if we're only looking at phase one, and I'm trying to figure out on these here, and might be better on this one, where's the second entrance? Help me here, Mr. Hackett.
Is the second exit that you're showing the one coming out right there, Kraus Mill Road?
It's right in there, that area, yes.
And that's only, what Harry was bringing up, only allowed to go one direction coming out?
It's a right in and right out.
Right
It's
in,
the
right
second
out. So
means.
where's
Are you serious?
where's the main entrance?
The main entrance is Denali Boulevard.
And where does that connect to
That on the
194?
map, I can tell you that. Was it on these maps?
Mr. Hackett.
This is the first one, they're talking about this one.
Andrew just
The
showed
second
us
right
to the
here.
right
Before
of
the
that
turn,
Denali
right after
Boulevard.
the
Is that the second entrance?
The one that comes out near Kraus is what they're
Right.
proposing
That
for
would
the
be the
second
second.
entrance.
Second exit, okay. And then the original one
Other one's up a
The
little.
Now
main
it-
one is down from Kraus.
is top of the hill.
I said, okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I couldn't see it on these big
So
ones.
what's that? That's 250, 300 feet away.
Say it again, Jim?
That's roughly 200, 300 feet away from
Oh,
each
that
other,
was
right?
Babcock owned that. Yeah, well, Babcock
I mean, it's a little more, but
Put that exhibit up on the board.
Pardon me?
That
Harry?
red line.
it's a little more, but it's not a ton.
But guys, does that make sense? Having them that close to each other? I'm just putting it out there.
Well, there's only so much you can do with
I
the
get it.
orientation of the
No,
property,
I
so
get it.
I
I
hear
get
you.
it.
I think we've maximized what is
I
feasible
get it.
without having to acquire someone else's property.
Right.
There's a red line of a right in, right out.
And neither one of those places are ideal entrance
There you are, Jim,
or exit.
It's on the last page?
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one at Cross Mill Road, right?
That's the one at Kraus Mill.
It doesn't show up on that plan. 700 feet.
That far?
Yeah, it's pretty far.
Yeah, it's over in the column there.
You're not even gonna do a circle there, you're just gonna come straight out?
Where we showed just temporary access.
Okay.
And then when we talk about having a full second means of access, the only way you'll get it on the inverse of that curve across is a right in, right out. So you would have full tapers with deceleration lanes and acceleration lanes, so you can pull away from the roadway, when we did not propose obviously exiting that area across for full movement access.
One of the worst places you could have any entrance.
Yeah,
Bottom of the hill, crossing the road.
that's a blind place.
That's a tough one.
Trucks coming down that hill 40 miles an hour.
Well, the nice thing is the deceleration lane shifts everything off the roadway. Therefore, they can make the right in, right out, and it still can be used for emergency services. The main access is still gonna be Denali Boulevard. And what ends up,
Antrim, you mean Antrim Boulevard.
No, well, yeah, eventually,
Yes.
probably.
Good call on that one.
So to Mr. Eisenberg's
Yes.
point, my follow-up question would be,
There.
heard,
Wow.
is the continuation of that the benefit of constructing the bypass in the entirety of the project is still beneficial, more beneficial, I should say, than, let's say, going under R10 zoning and seeing a whole different plan where that doesn't justify any bypass. And that's just a hypothetical, but I'm just curious, like what is the most important goal for this property?
Make it work so that the impact going through Taneytown, that what we're experiencing right now, we're not impacting it even more.
Okay, that's
So-
very helpful and important feedback because
So-
that's very different than the full bypass in some ways, right?
But even
could
if it
be.
was
But the
already,
bypass is what makes that happen.
Well, not necessarily. If you put 5 lots on this,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get the bypass, but you're also not gonna have that impact. So that's why that's why I'm asking
But you
that
didn't let
question.
me answer the whole
So-
thing.
I'm sorry.
I probably
That was the other
would.
part of it. The bypass, I've heard it for 40 years. Bypass, bypass, bypass. And this was a perfect opportunity for it. Now everything's being scaled back, I understand. But the impact to Taneytown, we have to, as a planning commission, we have to look at the full picture. After everybody goes home, we live here. Experience that, to have the impact without that bypass to alleviate some of that impact, it's the only way that I feel.
but you're talking, so, I mean, this phase one is 280 houses, I thought it was 280 some, is that what it was? 280?
Another 500
So,
cars.
so if it was less houses, maybe it would be acceptable? More than 5, less than 280?
What, about 50 maybe?
Yeah.
I should mention that we want all this feedback. But I also want to point out that when it comes to phase 1, that is developable with our traffic impact analysis with some other mitigation efforts for the square. Phase 2 is not supported under our traffic impact analysis without the connection through flow serve. That's part of the reason that we came here tonight, to have this conversation with you, because we are exploring our options and we are trying to decide which direction we want to move in, and we would like to continue this relationship with the town and see some development of this property. 1A and 1B can work under the traffic study.
Does the traffic study incorporate Garnet Ridge and
Yes.
Sewell's? and-
Every traffic study incorporates proposed developments and existing, and background conditions.
It wouldn't account
And
in
a growth
Sewell's,
factor.
though. Sewell's is not a proposed, right, so it wouldn't account in Sewell's.
has a growth factor.
Garnet Ridge would be, right?
Garnet Ridge would be there, but I don't think Sewell's would be in that.
It's not going to be in there specifically, but every traffic impact analysis has a growth factor in it. So that's added and inflated to adjust for future development as well.
So with 280 houses, the existing roads we have and the existing square, it will handle it.
There is some mitigation to striping in the square that's necessary to get to the level of service that the town is requesting. It would meet SHA's level of service standards, but the town has a higher threshold, level of service. And so there would be some restriping that would be necessary to get it, to mitigate to the town standards.
I'm not trying to be flippant, but are we gonna restripe all the way to the circle? Because that's what it backs up to. I mean, I'm not trying to be a pain in the butt about it, but that's
No,
that's what we're looking at right now, is nearly every day on a normal day, it's backing up past Baumgardner and
Circle.
gets to the circle, and sometimes there's even a line to get into the circle. So adding another 280 houses to that load that has to go through the square as things exist, it's just not feasible.
Traffic impact study that was prepared for the project and approved by the state requires left turn lanes on, I guess it's 194, on each side of the square, or circle, they are referred to as both. So that, by doing left turn lanes on each side, it brings the level of service to a C, which is acceptable by the city code for the 281 units. As Kelly has mentioned, that once we get to phase 2, that's when the connection to 140 is required to meet the level of service C.
I would just say that traffic's not going that direction from 194. I would say the majority of it is either going to go, there's going to be some that go south to catch Frederick and hit 270, but I'd say the majority of it's going to come up, turn right on 140 and go out the town that way, because that seems to be where the majority of traffic comes back.
You don't know that. The traffic study can't,
I
don't know that.
I still feel that it's got to be a package deal. I just can't see splitting this and doing one A and B without two. Package deal for Ranchman Boulevard to go all the way through 194 to 140.
Right, but if 2A and B never happen, what are you saying then?
We don't do one unless we do package deal. It's not, it's one and two, not one A and one B. I can see us, if we're talking 10 to 12 years build out, there's a lot of things that can happen. Codes and things can change. There's no way the square is going to make that big a difference for 280 homes. Square is what it is.
I'd say there has to be a way forward on this in order for it to actually go through.
And I kind of would like to hear some input from the city council before I make any type of. Like, as the liaison, to take it back to city council and get comments.
But so 2A and B never happen, would you, if there were less than 280 homes there, does that make it?
No, it doesn't make it right either. No. I mean, I would lean 50 or less, maybe. I think once you go right 50,
Then you could have the single point of entrance.
But then it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I might be
because that
speaking for
concerns
you.
me too.
Financially, a 50,
Yeah, 50's not going to work financially for the development.
Well, 50 is not going to work under the current contract for the property. And so I think that, Mr. Parker, in your conversations with council, one of the things that I would also share with you in full transparency is that if this commission were inclined to say, we would approve this conditioned on access to 140, this deal is done. The contract is for the whole property. So the uncertainty of when that connection could happen leaves a contract purchaser on the hook for a lot of money with a development that may or may never happen. So there might be some constructive, creative ways to still facilitate a contract. I'm not saying that Ward would necessarily want to or walk away forever, but it would not work under our current contract because there needs to be some certainty that this can happen for us to stay under the current contract that we have.
I'll get the feeling of council, but based on past conversations, if it doesn't go through, they're not going to want it.
You made the statement earlier that State Highway wasn't going to be part of this. It had to be, I thought there was some talk about maybe that part of the bypass would not be brought up to state standards at the beginning.
That was our understanding.
But yet it would be space allocated for the expansions of the width of the roads and the base.
Is there enough space for that?
There
the
is.
base being not state standards, but yet be feasible for the project?
Yes. What's proposed is a width that would accommodate state standards, but it's my understanding, our understanding, that SHA has not said they're willing to take it as soon as it's constructed. And so therefore, I think it's an unanswered question as to when SHA would take it and be willing to take it.
Right-of-way provided is the state standards that allows it to be expanded over time as, other properties are developed and traffic is generated dictates the width of the road to be wider. What we're proposing more than adequately handles the traffic that will generate plus some. So, that's how it's been designed. The other thing too, one way you look at this is if phase 1A and 1B were to be allowed to move forward, that stream crossing, there's only one point we can cross. Marty and his team, CLSI and the team, met with the Corps of Engineers and all the environmental state agencies, and that point is the point. So if you were to look at this and say, okay, I can get part of this now, and then once FlowServe figures out, their position in the market, and if they're willing to come to the table, then that could be acquired, then you can do the second part. But that first part is always going to be aligned as it's shown on that plan. So that gets you to that point. And then when FlowServe comes, and works with the town or the city, then it can be picked up from there and run through. So it gives you, and I understand what everyone's concern and the council members, but it gives you a good head start. It gets you to where you want to go. If not, and if it's developed for 10,000 square foot lots, so you get 120 lots or something like that, then I don't know if the bypass will ever happen. I think this is an opportunity to get a portion of something that we all want. I think in time it will happen. It's just a matter of FlowServe, and we tried very hard with FlowServe. For 7 months or 6 months, we met with them and asked, their employees and their plant manager and their upper management, what can we do for you? What do you want? What can we give you? And they gave us a laundry list of things, and we gave them everything they asked. Then they had a meeting in Texas at their corporate office, and Kadeem, the plant manager at the Taneytown facility, came back and said, they just said no, based on the political climate, they're not going to do anything at the moment, and that was their answer. And we asked, well, is there anything else? Give you some more parking, pave your parking lot. What would you like? And it was like, we're not going to give up anything today.
See, my problem is if you accept this plan the way it is, hopefully you get a bypass, your bypass is gonna be worse than 140 down in Westminster. You have all these roads coming in.
if it's state, if the state otherwise, it says how many entrants you can have onto their bypass.
Yeah, well, the state has nothing to do with it. This is gonna be private for a while.
Not if it's supposed to be built to standards, their standards.
Well, they already said it's not gonna quite be to
Well,
standards.
maybe their construction, but I guess we would have something, or should have something to say about the streets entering onto that, even if they have to divide or put some type of service street in.
Well, they wanna know that now, I believe, because that adds to their expense.
The other thing, the big reason we're here is to get some clarity because there is a time limit on our purchase contract with the seller. And real soon, we have to sit down and either renegotiate or work something out, or just walk away and let somebody else come in. But I think, I mean, you have willing participants at the table today. It may not be what you want ultimately, the connection, but, you know, you get a good bite of the apple and get us partly there. We'd like to work as a team, but, you know, we can only do so much because we don't control 100% of the pathway to Route 140.
Commission, I don't believe we can give you any type of direction at this point in time until we hear back from council. And I think I've been here long enough where we've talked about this property at least 25 years, maybe longer, and it's still ground zero. Andrew or Jim, any comments? Other or?
I may be able to just clarify a little bit with regard to the State Highway Administration. They did agree conceptually that they would see this becoming a state road eventually. However, they wanted to be involved in the design process. They wanted the road to be built from one end to the other to state highway specifications in order to accept it. And that building this road to state highway specifications, currently, just the numbers simply do not work. And as the developer has advised, the traffic study doesn't support the need to build a road to the state highway specifications either for this community. And at this point, and I'm sure Councilman Meade can maybe elaborate at our next meeting as to the comment of the council is focused or serious about the bypass as to what that means. Because again, if there are other variables in play regarding the bypass on the other side of Route 194, that has a significant impact on what happens here. So I think we do need to certainly get council's input on, their plans for the bypass. I'm not privy to that at this point. But I think we definitely need to get them involved.
Anyone from the floor have any comments they would like to make? Anything else from the commission here? Other than that, that's where we're going to stand at this point.
Thank you. Is this, I mean, we can chat with Jim, but is this like a topic of conversation at the next council meeting that we should have a dialogue on? Should we wait to hear from you on this? What are my next steps?
The next council meeting, I'm not sure how packed that's going to be, just because things have gotten up in the air. We got one that just had open heart surgery, and so we're having to reschedule things because of quorum at the moment.
Okay.
I would imagine, if not the next meeting, then the February meeting that we would be talking about it. We'll see what everybody else says, but I'm not.
We have our meeting the end of the month, so if you can get something from council before our next meeting.
I
That
don't
would
even
help
know
us.
when our next meeting this month is yet.
So I think we'll just stay tuned is what I'm hearing
Yeah.
for an agenda. What I'm saying, I guess, is that we'd like to be involved in that conversation and be there and available to answer any specific questions, because some of this is nuanced. I'll leave it at that. So we will just keep in touch with Jim and Andrew on that note.
Yeah. I was gonna say, the council meeting thing has been fluid. We haven't figured it out yet. So as to when the meeting this month is gonna be, when we're gonna have everybody in the same room.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
because we'll meet again on the 26th, give or take.
yeah, we should have a meeting before then, because we have to have one this month. So,
All right?
Thank you. Thank you for your time tonight.
it may be Saturday morning while we're eating breakfast, but we'll have a meeting sometime.
Okay. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ordinance and agreement, none. Andrew, your report?
Yes, Mr. Chair. For just a brief overview of what has happened in the last month, just a brief snapshot in the Department of Planning and Zoning. We've been reviewing the preliminary site plan for Evapco's parking lot expansion. Since this was recently designated as a priority project for not only the county's review, but we are trying to match that as a priority project. The commissioners, the Board of County Commissioners voted to make that a priority project. Also reviewing site plans for a new business that may be coming before this board the end of this month or the following month, which would be the final site plans for Taneytown Supply. Also, just to let everybody know, for plan amendments, the Taneytown Shopping Center amended landscape plan, the applicant has finalized their amended landscape plan. This was mentioned to the commission on October 27th of last year. The chair and I have both approved their revised plan pursuant to 181-16 of the city code. Comprehensive plan, as this board is well, or this commission is well aware, we are all chugging along on the comprehensive plan. You will be getting information in the next couple weeks for your meeting this month. And for zoning code violations, sending out letters and looking to see if compliance has been made. And just a brief overview, zoning certificates issued in December, there were 3, no fence permits issued. Code enforcement cases created was 11, cases closed 7, current open cases 120. And that is my report for the beginning of the month. If you have any questions, please let me know, Mr. Chair.
Questions for Andrew or anything about the active project list while we're moving on?
I got nothing on that.
Nothing, ma'am.
We've already beat up the active subdivisions.
Yeah, so let's hear from Tiffany.
Thank you, and good evening. Let's see, we have a lot going on in the county right now. You know about the deferrals, and so the deferrals were voted on on December 18th, and for the retirement villages and retirement homes, for our 6-month deferral was approved to pass the modified drafted ordinance to defer the approval of retirement villages and retirement homes in the Freedom Designated Growth Area for the 6 months, for cluster subdivisions to defer the processing, review, and approval of cluster subdivisions in the Freedom Designated Area, but exempt any project that has been submitted for review by the County Development Review Division prior to December 1st. For planned commercial centers, It was approved to defer the processing, review, and approval of planned commercial centers in the Freedom Designated Growth Area for 8 months. For self-storage, it was approved to pass the modified draft ordinance to defer the approval of self-storage facilities in the Freedom Designated Growth Area pending final approval, and direct staff to return January 15th, next Thursday, to review in a work session with the board the commercial zones specified with regard to the uses and their bulk requirements. And that is deferral for the self-storage for 3 months on that one. Any questions about the deferrals?
Yeah, why so many?
Well, we have Commissioner Krebs is concerned that, and she is the commissioner for District 5 in the Freedom District. She is concerned that the county code does not address the welfare of the citizens in the Freedom area as envisioned in the Freedom Community Comprehensive Plan. So we're kind of putting a hold on things and looking at the zoning code, especially the commercial uses and requirements in the Eldersburg area.
Has there been any thought or talked about the Freedom District becoming some type of incorporated?
It has been mentioned. I think it's been mentioned over time, several times, but
Since the 80s.
There. But as far as I know, there's no movement at this time to make that happen. But it is one of 2 growth areas that the county controls. So that's why they're kind of stopping right now to see if what was envisioned in the comprehensive plan, the community comprehensive plan from 2018 is working with the current zoning. And what they envisioned. And I will say the retirement villages and retirement homes, that is age restricted basically. And it's kind of some of the discussion that was happening here with Garnet Ridge as well. So that is on their minds too, to talk about that while that's going on. Questions about the deferrals?
Questions?
No.
I do have other stuff. That's just the deferrals.
Okay.
All right, for the work session, I already told you about that. Text amendment, we have, I think I brought that up last month, that on the 20th of this month, we're going to be going back to the Planning Commission with their direction on the consolidation and relocation of the non-conforming, basically billboards in the area, so they can be consolidated, smaller ones made into a larger one, so there's fewer, but maybe bigger. And then the water resource element was mentioned earlier about the water and your comp plan and the numbers maybe not matching for what was being looked at. So the water resource element will be there's a public information meeting in the Reagan Room, 003 in the county office building, from 5 to 6:30 on January 14th. And it's a drop-in open house. If you had any questions about the water resource elements to any of those numbers that are in there, staff will be there to assist with any of the questions that you might have for that. And then that'll go to public hearing on the 4th of February. The water sewer fall amendment is, and Taneytown is part of that, is the county commissioners were briefed on it by staff on December 18th, and a public hearing is in the process of being scheduled for later this month. And then the annual report, information has gone out to the town regarding the annual report that's due to Maryland Department of Planning by July 1st, and we've asked for the city's information to come to the county staff by March 13th, and that would be certified by the city. And then for the zoning code review and revision, we also have an RFP out right now seeking a consultant to support perform 2 specific tasks for the zoning code review and revision, and that would be review and evaluate the relationship between adopted master plans and the county's current zoning and site development regulations, and also provide expert recommendations for code revisions that will ensure consistency with the county's adopted plans as well. Also kind of related to the deferrals at this time. There's not anything.
It was
Comments
stuff.
or questions? That was it. I'm really all done.
I have a slightly unrelated question that's a real quickie.
Do my best.
I can't remember the current name off the top of my head, I'm blanking, but do you guys handle the possible renovation of Cranberry Mall, or is that Westminster?
That's the city of Westminster.
No problem. I just wanted to check jurisdiction, because I was curious.
I feel like there's a rumor going around.
I don't know what you're talking about. I can confirm nor deny nothing.
I have been asked that by many people this past weekend.
And actually, since you do mention that, I will say that I did leave something off, because we do use the mall as an example when we do our youth outreach for the master plan. We are trying to get the ideas of the youth, what they would like to see in their communities as what would keep them here, what they would like to see. And we use the mall as an example, so they kind of reconstruct that area just as an example, because everybody's kind of familiar with it. And that is, we are going through our master plan process, update process as well, and we are going to get back to that with reviewing goals and all of those recommendations from public engagement, as well as the work groups that we had. I'm really done now.
Good, all right. Thank you.
Would it be possible to ask the county to take a little closer look at some of these subdivisions? Because if I can find a lot of violation of ADA, I'm sure you guys could.
So I know right now it is reviewed by the county, and Andrew can certainly reach back out to any of the members who would be reviewing that for any clarifications on anything, certainly if you had any concerns on it. That is one of the things that we are looking at, why the retirement communities aren't part of the deferral, is because we do not have requirements, and then also the way that they are reviewed for site plans is a little different when they are not a subdivision but an entire site plan. Do either of you know the difference on that when comes in as one plan, like they're condominiums as opposed to...
Here, Carol Vista is an example that was a site plan rather than a subdivision.
And then they're subject to different review processes in that. So if you did want details on that, I'm sure we could get you those.
Yeah.
He's your man.
All right. Thank you. Old business, I think we touched a little bit on this with Andrew's report, the comp plan update. Anything else to add to that other than our meeting coming up on the 20th? Somewhere along in there? 20th?
Mr. Chair, just, I guess just to give you all just a quick, intermediate summary, from what the commission mentioned, in particular, Councilmember Mead, Jim and I went back and looked at the zoning map. We put everything together, got back with Arrow with corrections, and they made corrections before Christmas, sent that to us. We have a couple comments, but we will get into all that at the next meeting. Well, not the next meeting, the regular meeting, but the next comprehensive planning workshop.
Good. All right. Going into other business, discussion on outdoor sales and parking requirements.
So, thank you, Mr. Chair. We spoke about this a little bit last time, and this was with a particular project that was inquiring about coming to Taneytown. Some of the members, I think, of that project team are in the audience today. But with having the question of how to review parking requirements for outdoor storage that would be in a parking lot, I think it was Commission Member Eisenberg mentioned to go back and talk to the different towns in Carroll County. So I spoke with the county, Westminster, Mount Airy, Hampstead, Manchester, Sykesville, and if anybody would like more particular information on what the individual community mentioned, also the county as well, but it was basically the same approach that we were proposing, that, like, for instance, area that would have trailers like, let's use Lowe's for an example. You pull up, they unlock the lock that has a chain through it. So the trailer, you can buy it, drive off. But for an area that's actually storage, retail outside, if it was temporary, they would not count that space as retail. They would count that as removing spaces from the parking inventory, but if it was permanent, they would account that area as retail that would be added on to the retail square footage for parking for the building. So that is what the main general overview was, so it was in line with what we were thinking. Commission member Mead mentioned at last meeting, particularly wanted to mention about reach out to the city of Westminster and see how they handle the placement of sheds in parking lots for Lowe's and Home Depot. Planning Director, Mr. Depot, mentioned specifically a simplified site plan would be required if you are not altering the drive aisle or vehicle pedestrian movement. No new parking space would be required for the expanded retail space for sheds, and an administrative adjustment could be used only for the parking reduction. An administrative adjustment is a process that we do not have here, but at my time at the City of Westminster, we used, and that's basically, it's not, well, it's sort of like a variance, but it doesn't go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. If there is one planning director mentioned if it's not as large of a reduction, for instance, a variance, it would be so minute that it could be done administratively. Now, administratively, it would still, at the city, require public notification, agenda, adjacent property owners being notified, a sign posted on the property, but those are for smaller adjustments that it would almost be, I guess it would be, crazy, but it wouldn't warrant bringing the full Board of Zoning Appeals together. Another director has mentioned the administrative adjustment would be for things that you have new literature from the American Planning Association, new planning techniques that the current code doesn't conform with, that you might be able to tweak. But right now, Taneytown does not have that process in play. But specifically, I just wanted to get back to you, what you mentioned last month, and I wanted to answer that question, specifically what Westminster would do. But that is all that I have for the information on outdoor sales and parking requirements, and I think moving forward, that's how, with the general of outdoor sales in the parking lot, if it's permanent, like somebody is asking, that you'll probably hear from a little bit later today, that's how we would look at that. So that outdoor sales area would be part of, it would be part of retail, the retail floor area that would require parking.
Like that had stored stuff outside like that?
Yes.
Well,
Just for-
that would be not permanent, right? So if you set a pallet on your front sidewalk, that's not permanent.
Right. But if it's like a fence,
But if you
it's
fence in an
fenced-in-
area, that's permanent.
Not within the town limits, but just for an example, so I can explain or ask you to explain what I'm talking about. The Amish place out here on 194 that has the plants and all that stuff that they sell. Are we talking about something like that if it was within the corporation, the city limits?
Well, actually, do you mind if I mention the business name? And so Tractor Supply Company they're looking to open up a store here in Taneytown, in the Taneytown Shopping Center. And as part of that, they would like to put a fenced-in fenced-in retail area. A fenced-in retail area with retail sales. And that's what brought this whole conversation up. In the yellow is the fenced-in area. The red to the left of that fenced-in area, more to the Kenny's Market, that would be where trailers would be sold. But the fenced-in area is that yellow section. That's really been the whole discussion of these past two meetings.
Oh, yeah, okay, I got you, yeah, okay.
There's a Hallmark
Yep,
store.
yep. Okay, so it's in the shopping center.
So basically, then the question then just becomes, assuming McDonald's isn't using it, the parking spaces.
That's what I was gonna say, what's,
Sorry, I had to get it in. But assuming the parking space number without the yellow space aligns with all of the retail space of the shopping center and the yellow space, then we're good to go.
Correct, and just to be totally clear, so the Tractor Supply Company has with the total retail area, a certain amount of parking that's required. So you take that parking number plus the fenced outdoor display area and equals, let's say, X. You have to remove the fenced outdoor display area from the parking total.
Yeah.
So now you gain parking, required parking, and you're losing provided parking. And then for the permanent trailer equipment display area, that wouldn't be counted as retail, but it would be removing parking spaces from the inventory. Because retail, at least in my opinion, they're trailers. They're not going to be generating tons of traffic for tow-behind trailers.
It's generally storage. So the question is, do the numbers work?
From what I have seen, I have to go back and double check, but that wasn't the basis of this discussion. That was just the basis
you brought it up.
this was the basis of how we're going to get to that point, how we're going to make this work, the methodology for calculating parking spaces. And that would all be if well, then I'll, yeah.
Does it work?
What?
Does it work?
Lower, so that's, I'll get into all that.
Okay.
Trying to figure, oh, there it is, it's already figured out, 1,500 square feet.
Yeah, and everything's off to the side there on the right.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
small chart.
yeah.
Breakdown.
Your font's not too big either.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay. That's equivalent to how many parking spots?
Well, and this.
Never mind.
And, Mr. Chair, this would be a discussion for a later time.
Okay.
Because right now, and thank you for Tractor Supply for coming out. I mean, it's not on the agenda. Just what was on the agenda was just the discussion of the methodology, basically, of how we're going to calculate that from really coming back from what was mentioned at the last meeting in November.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
Okay. Your next item? Oh, you.
No,
I didn't know if we had a presentation.
I just thought I had to wait till the public comment.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Is that correct, or?
actually not on the agenda for comments. But if you'd like to make any statements now, go ahead.
I guess, yeah, just to.
State your name and who you represent.
Yes. My name is Nick Urbanowitz. I represent MSP Development. They are the parent company of the entity that is under contract to purchase the property, which is another entity that we own. As stated before, we would like to put the Tractor Supply there on the vacant end cap there at 520 East Baltimore Avenue, or sorry, East Baltimore Street. As mentioned, that area in the yellow will be the it's the fenced outdoor display area. So yes, it will be a permanent display area out there with off to the side. This pink area here is the permanent trailer display. Where it's situated, it is eliminating one main, or somewhat eliminating a main out through the parking lot where it is, but it's not really shown on here, but there technically it would still be a drive aisle that whenever you purchase things through there, Tractor Supply, you'll be able to get a vehicle through there. And that, I can't exactly remember where the hookup for the trailer display would be, but that's usually how they'll do it. You'll pull through there, hook up any, because that's where their larger items, farming equipment is. And then you'll still be able to exit out of there, but only be obviously if you're purchasing for something in there. Or there also is a propane 1,000-gallon tank, propane area in there to fill up your just cooking and everything. And then also in regard to that, there'll be a sidewalk display along here for smaller farm lawn equipment. And really the basis what I wanted to get here for is just really just to present this in front of you, take some initial questions that you guys might have, and then maybe also help you prepare so for then the upcoming meeting to have a more thorough discussion at that time. And so then to also answer the questions about the whole parking. So the total that we are required to have based off the square footage calculation is 331. It's marked down there, I think at the very bottom. As he stated that the square footage of the fenced outdoor display area is requiring us to add 77 parking spaces to that. And then the total that we are proposing to provide is 254. So we are slightly underneath the required parking that is needed for there. But we would like to, obviously we'll have the more thorough explanation and reasoning for that at the next coming meeting to it. But just to, I guess, maybe ease some concerns, Tractor Supply, they consider themselves, and even by PennDOT standards, sorry, I'm used to PA. At least to their standards, Tractor Supply is considered a low volume store. They typically generate around 300 cars per day, and our ideal ones where it's a brand new build to suit one, ideally they will run like 80 parking spaces total for there. That's just the size of the site that they have. That's really all that the maximum area that they would want for it. So even though we are decreasing the total amount of it, we do feel that there's still ample enough of parking for Tractor Supply and for then the other uses that are currently in there. The tenants that are there, we all planning on signing leases with them. I'm not in discussion with that, but that's in the works as it is. So if Tractor Supply is approved and built there, the center will be fully leased out, I believe. And so, yeah.
Sounds right.
I think so, yes. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Keep using the word trailer. This trailer for sale, not for rent, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure it's clear it was not any rentals, it's retail sales.
Yes, correct.
Okay. I have none. Anyone else?
I don't have any questions, not right now.
Andrew?
And if they decide to come back for an application, they would be put on the agenda. But right now, no application has been submitted for Tractor Supply, hence that they haven't been added to the agenda.
Hurry back, I only have one bag of bird feed left.
Don't worry, we'll be back at the end of the month.
Next meeting, no.
Oh yeah, whenever you have it.
All right. Thank you,
Good
sir.
thing about this, it has no subdivision involved.
And it's not parking on one side of the street.
Exactly, see, it's already helping you out.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Andrew, we'll move on.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So for the discussion on electric vehicle charging stations and site plan requirements, we've had internal discussions about, just with all the discussions about parking lately, if a electric vehicle charging station, if a company were to put an electric vehicle charging station, installed it on a parking lot, trying to have the thought process of, would that eliminate required parking? So for instance, if you're required to have 500 parking spaces and they want to come in and put 10 electric vehicle charging stations, would that say, okay, now you're taking 10 parking spaces away? When I have read literature from the American Planning Association, they have pretty much advocated for as many or a lot or adding vehicle or electric vehicle charging stations. So we just want to get Planning Commission's thoughts on when electric vehicle charging stations come in, let's say at a shopping center,
How about we say at a convenience store?
Sheets.
Since Sheetz is putting them in right now.
would the commission be okay with, because this is the new wave of technology, be okay with saying that you can put them in and there's no reduction, that wouldn't reduce parking because it's
Technically, it's still a parking
Still
space.
parking there, yeah.
It's still a parking space, just as a parking space with perks.
Well,
So it really wouldn't be any different than an ADA parking spot.
well,
It's already a parking spot because that's where you're putting the charger in.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, 'cause
already a
that's what-
spot, and
'cause
you're not
that-
taking
yeah.
it away.
Yeah, like
You're just designating it
like
as a
Sheetz isn't
charging
taking away
spot.
any parking spots by putting in those charging bricks.
And
so-
hope you're not there for 2 hours charging up, right? So it's no different than a
Theoretically.
parking spot,
Especially
right?
not on the new ones.
but I could park there and go and get my coffee anyway.
Right.
Park there anyway.
Might get mad at me, but.
So what was your question?
sounds good. I
think it's a parking
I think
spot.
my question has been answered.
We all good with that?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still parking spaces.
Yeah, okay. Data centers. That's your
Don't do it,
next-
it's a trap.
What?
Sorry, that's just a natural reaction.
There's some inquiries have been coming up about data centers, and I guess just the city's stance. American Planning Association has, I read a publication from their zoning practice from June of 2022, which talks about data centers. Very interesting. When you think about data centers, you think of those big, giant buildings in the hinterland. But really, this talks about data centers could be in some places on Main Street, and they talk about not having it on the retail, but if you have empty second, third floor space. So I guess really just want to get really, I guess, preliminary thoughts on you all about your thoughts about data centers in Taneytown.
Would have to know the actual utility, both water and electric requirements for anything such as that. Because there are horror stories all over the place about water especially.
I've
And
never.
our
I've
electric
never-
grid isn't exactly the greatest.
I haven't heard any of that type of concept. We've heard everything else on those big behemoth of buildings being brought up with no power or not enough power. So that's an interesting, yeah. But,
Is that an article you can email to us, or?
Yep.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I have too.
Since our code is currently silent on that use, we would like to be able to address it so that we, have an idea how we want to handle it if we do get an application for one. Certainly, we're most likely looking at a site development plan, but do we want to limit them to the restricted industrial district, for example? Do we want them to have different requirements because of the use than other industrial uses? A different lot size, minimum, maximum kind of a thing. So that's the sort of thing that we would like you to be thinking about. And if Andrew circulates that article, that may give you some food for thought.
Yeah.
But certainly, we would be looking at a site development plan process through which we would have to make sure that we had adequate water for cooling and things like that and their projected demands. But we have had inquiries about locating centers in Taneytown. So before one hits the table officially as a submittal, we want to try to prepare a little bit for it.
Be more proactive instead
If
of
we
reactive.
do a couple of data centers, oh no, we can't build more houses.
That would help the square.
But no, I'd say the big thing is going to be utility draw, both water and power. Because like I said, I mean, all jokes aside, our grid is fragile sometimes. with transformers and things of that nature. So we need to, because that would dictate location. So I would think that it would, due to more robust power, it would be in more of the industrial type area. I would hesitate.
Site plan. I think we need a site plan.
I'd
just
hesitate
because of the
to put it in any kind of semi-residential area, just again, based off of power requirements and such. I've wired enough racks.
And they're often associated with battery energy storage systems.
Yep.
And, lithium fires burn hot, they take a lot of, water, and.
Yep.
I realize who I'm talking to, so I probably
Yeah,
don't need to say that.
I'm
but-
actually pretty versed on a lot of the equipment and
Right,
stuff.
so some things to think about, if you want to share any recommendations or guidance with us next month. May want to take a look at the restricted industrial district and see if we want to speak specifically to that use.
Andrew, next one.
Water Resources Element Public Hearing. The county, hold on one second, let me get my cheat sheet here. There we go. As Tiffany alluded to in her report, on February 4th, which is tentative, at 6 p.m., the Carroll County Planning and Zoning Commission will be tentatively holding a public hearing for the water resources element. This meeting, they mentioned may have a virtual component, but instead of the Taneytown Planning Commission holding a separate public hearing here, if this commission would like to be a part of that joint meeting with other towns and the county will take care of everything. You would be part of the joint meeting. So just trying to get your thoughts on, would everybody be free on February 4th at 6 p.m. for a tentative meeting with the County Planning Commission for that joint public hearing for the water resources element public hearing?
Fourth is on a Wednesday.
Quick clarification, that will not put you on the spot is in terms of being like a question answer session. It just requires us to be there
would like to be
and
there.
hear a comment, not to
Would it be held
necessarily
here?
respond.
No, because that's probably our workshop day.
Oh, okay.
So that's for council. So that's why I'm depends on who's well enough to actually be on council that day as to whether we're going to be able to have it. But yeah, so we're.
I would say yes, as long as we weren't obligated with questions and have to have answers.
It's more informational?
Well, no, this is the public hearing, listening for the planning commission.
Okay.
The meeting will be in room 3, which is the Reagan room in the basement of the county office building, but there may be a virtual component.
I might be away that week, but if it's, okay. What's the times?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Wednesday, room 3. Yeah.
I'd like to try.
We'll be represented somehow.
If we can have a quorum, then
Yes.
participate in this hearing, then we don't have to hold our own.
Or, I mean, we need
My
3 of
due
us.
diligence to
Yeah,
do that.
I can make it.
Okay?
Andrew, where was
We
it
can ride
again?
together.
I'm just trying to.
Room 3 at the Carroll County office building, 225 North Center Street.
That's in the basement down there, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
That's where we were before.
Okay.
Or February.
3rd. February 3rd.
Fourth.
4th. Room 3. Right. We're good.
Thank you. That'll save a lot of time on our end, too. We don't need to send out notices and all.
Anything else?
None from me.
Jim, you have anything?
Not unless you want to talk about street widths.
No.
Okay, yes,
Man, Jim, really?
yes.
Anything else? Anything on the commission?
I'd like to talk about, no.
No. Sir, you haven't said anything.
Yeah. I'll just add one comment about baby centers.
Be battery backup.
You got 22 acres,
Yeah,
right?
we'll put it on 22 acres.
You have 22 acres down there?
Sounds like data center material.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, looks like next meeting, January 26th for the commission, and then the 20th for the planning zone, for the
Workshop.
comp plan. All right, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion?
Said that. Bill?
Second.
Second, Harry. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Yes. Aye.
Opposed? Aye, too. Carried.